for you to keep. All right, so we're gonna resume. We are gonna get through lab 1, which is we're gonna do some footprinting today using Kali Linux. And I know some of you already got started with downloading Kali Linux. So if you on your Canvas, if you go to Unit 1, the last assignment for the week, after your regular class assignment is your lab. You click on that, and then you would download the lab. And you please feel free to add your questions and answers and screenshots to the document. But if you prefer to keep it on a separate document, that's fine. What my intention is for you to go back to it one day, look at the steps and say, oh, the screenshot is going to tell you what it looks like when you do certain things, right? It's going to help you jog your memory and you say, okay, I did that using that tool and it looks like this. That's the whole point. So let me open up my document. All right, so in this lab, we're going to do a little bit of passive and active footprinting. The first part is going to be passive footprinting, which we can use the search engine for. So it kind of talk about what is footprinting again. We spend a lot of time on that, but it gives you this 4-step breakdown. Identify your targets, gather the information, look at what you have gathered as a result, and then plan for your attack. This is when we're going to determine your tools, right? And your procedures. So, now the part A, just to kind of get things started, it's not really affiliated with the search engine, but when you use your search engine, you use it on your class computer. And if you do this outside, just on your home computer is fine. The virtual machine is when we use a terminal, but you can use its browser as well. Okay, so for part A, you're going to visit this website. And if you don't have the link, okay, you can always search for Kali virtual machine download, and it will take you to the website. Okay, so when you visit the website for this class, when we use Kali, we're going to use VirtualBox. And if you want to use this practice outside of class, just install VirtualBox app on your laptop or your home computer. You can find that on Oracle website. They have version for Mac and Windows, and even, you know, if you run Linux, but that should allow you. But I recommend installing the extension package with your VirtualBox app, because that's going to allow you to mount drives and things down the line. Okay, so we are going to use VirtualBox virtual machine from Kali. It's already pre-built for you. You're going to click this arrow key down to download, and it's about 3.2 gigs. Now, Kali always, periodically, they update their versions. So even if you download it today and a month later you just need to push updates on the release. That's okay. But you can always download. Now, if you're using VMware Player, you can download this one. I used to use VMware a lot. It's just their player require more overhead in the installation. So I kind of moved away from VMware. When I taught at College of the Desert, I mostly used VMware Player. But now I use VirtualBox because I feel like it's lighter weight and it has more feature that I like. But there are other hypervisor that you can choose. Okay. And then you can also look at, don't use the weekly for this class, use the full. Okay. All right. So once we download this, make sure that you have it downloaded and save it to your downloads. So last night, my 41A class, students that had me also before, many of them opened the virtual machine in the temporary folder. You know how when it downloads and it notifies you, it says, oh, click here to open the virtual machine. That's what they do, and they have an error. Okay. So please follow the steps that I wrote down, and I'm going to go over those steps now, so that way it prevent you from wasting your time. Okay. And if you run into problems, call me over. I won't get mad at you. I promise. I will help you. Okay. So if you get an error, call me over. Okay. So once we download, it's going to look like this. Okay. On your computer, it's going to show a 7-zip symbol or a zip symbol. Do not try to run the virtual machine when it is zipped. You have to extract it. Okay. And extract it to the local computer first. And then you can move the machine down the line to your USB or your external storage. Your 16 gig drive that I give you will not accommodate the virtual machine once it's expanded. Okay. Even if you have 32 gig USB flash drive, your computer will not likely move it directly. An external hard drive that's a terabyte or a 500 gigabyte, that's accommodable. Okay, because it's dynamically writing, and on the flash drive, it's going to be limited to storage, and it does not like that. It's not designed for that. Okay, so extract it to the local computer. So once I have it downloaded, I'm going to right click on show more options, and choose 7-zip and extract file. Okay. If you don't have 7-zip at home when you're doing this, you need to install 7-zip along with the VirtualBox player. Okay. So once I right click, show more options, 7-zip, extract files, right? It's going to pop up this window. I'm just going to click OK, and it should take only about a couple minutes to extract. Okay. And when you do that, you're going to see that it's going to give you a regular folder without the zip symbol. That regular folder is going to contain your virtual machine. Okay. That's where you're going to go to play your VM. Do not open it from that zip folder, that compressed folder. That's going to give you problems. Okay. All right. Okay. So once that's done, you're going to see a regular folder with exactly the same name. You can copy it and paste it onto desktop, pull it to desktop, wherever you want to save it. Try not to run it on your regular USB drive for now. Just run it on the local machine, which is a little bit quicker. Double click the folder, open up its subfolder, and you're going to see the blue icon file. It's N with the .vbox. That's your VirtualBox. Okay. The VDI, the orange file, is your virtual disk. It pertains to the drive that's associated with that virtual machine. Understand? Every virtual machine, whether you're using VMware, QEMU, or VirtualBox, you're going to have a virtual machine file, and you're going to have a virtual disk that's associated with that virtual machine. Simply, it's taking up your computer local hard drive or storage, or your system storage, to be able to accommodate the actual virtual operating system that's going to be running, right? All right. I'm going to go ahead and double click. Let me check this. So what I did was I downloaded, that was step 1 and 2, right? I extracted, so that was all the way up to 5. And now I'm going to open up the folder and I'm going to double click. So I extracted, right? This folder, no zip symbol. Double click, open up the subfolder, and double click the blue icon file, the VBox file. So when you do that, you just put it on the playlist. Okay. Think of it like this is the player, and this is on, and you can have many virtual machines like this, right? What if I wanted to have a Windows Server VM? I just need to load it here, and I can start them as I need to. So in this field, this is what you're going to do. Most people don't. They would have powerful laptops and system, and they would connect and they remotely work like this. So you can scan someone from a VM, right? Or many VMs. It depends on the processor, your connectivity, right? And then your RAM and your storage. Okay. Now, this is for future classes. You can change the settings before you start it. But I had you double click that so you load it onto the player and you're going to click start. So by default, it's a slow virtual machine, like, it's like a dual core or single core with limited RAM. So it's going to be okay. When you see this, you can click the little small baby X to kind of, these are just notification. Do not click the black X. When you do that, you put the machine into pause mode. And when you open it again, it might not work well, okay? So close the notification. It might tell you that it might have some kind of fatal error or leak issue. Okay, so once that's loaded, you're gonna see a window like this. And it's gonna ask you to log in. We're gonna go ahead and type in Callie for username and Callie for password. So that's step 8. Okay, so let your VirtualBox load and things like that, and then we can work on, I forgot to relabel part B, or the passive recon. So passive footprinting, we're gonna use search operator for this, right? So on your desktop PC, I'm gonna go ahead and open up Google. I can just open up another tab and it's gonna go to the Google search right here. And then you can copy and paste this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use some of the advanced search feature from Google to be able to look for something that's related to nmap. So my target is after the colon right there, right? So if you're looking for a different target, you would say in title. So you're searching for something that would be related to nmap from the title of the web page. Okay. We're gonna copy that and then go to our Google search. We can paste that in or type it. You're gonna get some ad things from Google at the top. You can ignore the sponsored one, but we're gonna look for the actual result for the search result here. So we ask it to search for what? We ask it to search for nmap scan, right? This is the search criteria that we specify. And we want it for the in title. So if you've taken web development, you know what this is. But if you haven't, that's okay. So it's gonna give me something related, very closely related to nmap scan in the title, right? And then you would see some other results that are available below, but the first one should be feasible. Take a screenshot of that. So how do I screenshot? I come back here. So this is my result, right? I suggest using snip. So search for a tool called snip on your search bar right here and click snipping tool. This little window pops up. You can click new and then see the plus sign. You're going to drag it from left to right where you wanted to clip or snip. So let's say I want to take that picture. It automatically put this on a clipboard. So I come back over here to my lab document, right? Press enter so I can paste that in there and then right click and choose the little clipboard symbol, right? To paste. And there you go. Okay. So again, I did a snip search, open up the tool, right? Go to my web page that I wanted to take a picture of, click new, and then drag from left to right here. You can do alt, print screen, and so on. That work too, but and then go to my document for the lab, and then paste it. Control V or right click and paste the picture. And you can adjust the picture smaller, bigger, whatever you like. I use a lot of screenshot. It's really for your purpose because I want you to review and see what you did for that part. Okay, down the line. All right. And then you can answer the question, what type of search result are displayed? Does the title contain the search result? Right? I have it incomplete. the search criteria. Or the search key, I should say. Okay. So yes, it did, right? We had a hit right here. It does have it in the title. And then you do have some kind of scanning things in the title and map. So we still have to do a better job in like using quotation plus sign and all of that for advanced search, but you get the point. So you can use something like in title. And then you would click on the first result, not the sponsored result, but the first result. So we come back here, right? These are the ads that Google has. So we're going to click on this. It's going to take you to the nmap website, right? And basically it is, it gives you the information about their tool for network discovery and port scanning. And describe what you see on the page, right? Okay, then we're gonna do all in text and map scan. Now, sometimes this works really well, sometimes it doesn't. I just want you to give you a little bit of practice so that way you know what to do, right? So go back to your Google search, and then we're gonna use another type of search criteria. We're still gonna, our target is still gonna be nmap scan. We're just gonna use all in text. Okay, ignore the sponsor link. But so it's still gonna give me, right, the same page. It's saying that nmap scanning, which is in the text of the content of that particular landing page. And similarly, the second link and the third link and so on. Now, what you should also do is try to use a different search engine, like using Edge or Firefox and so on. So to see, because different algorithm is going to give you different things. Sometimes they might be similar, right, or the same, but likely that you're going to get different results. So that's the point, right, to kind of give you a little taste of it on passive printing. Okay, so once you have the outcome of the all in text, right, you want to compare that. How do the search result different from the results in the previous step? Not very much, right? What we had is we have the same first result, the same second result, and the third result, and so on. However, what we did was we asked it for the nmap scan in the text, which is in the content versus the title. Okay, so for example, if you're looking at Nike.com, they might not have shoes in the title, right? But they might have shoes in the content of their page. So you have to think about like how you can effectively search for something, right? So if I put shoes, I want to put it in all in text. But I want in the title, for the in title, I want to put Nike. Understand? So it could be one company, but how you search for that company information can be different, right? It's based on the criteria that you put. So you can say that, you know, you mainly get the same result. However, right, all in text is going to give you the key search term in the text of your page. And then you click on the first link, right? You can describe. Now, sometimes you're gonna get a different first link page, or the first link to the actual search. And you can describe the information. I don't need you to count all of that up. It says how many entries contain files. If you see that if it contains some kind of files, you can put, if not, you can put none. There might not be anything because it's our target is kind of like a different type of target. So Okay. And then you can check out the next page and so on. So this part alone, right? So I'm gonna tell you, just like I tell my forensic students. In this class, we're kind of like the Cliff Note version. That means that I'm gonna give you the exercises. Sometime we're gonna push cancel because we're just gonna not have enough time. Like I won't have 6-7 hours with you. I'm just gonna have like that amount of time. But if you do this realistically, it's gonna be days and hours and months. Okay? So searching like this can go on to the next day and the next day and the next day until you have enough information to work with. Okay. So cybersecurity is also require a lot of patience. Right? Forensic, a lot of my students are like, oh, I've been scanning for 30 minutes and I'm not getting anything. Sometimes you scan for days, right? And the same thing with this class. So you gotta give it time and you gotta be patient with yourself, okay? All right. Okay, so for 11, you can also put in the criteria. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on the actual domain of that company, the website. Okay. And so I do see slightly different, but it's still gonna give me the overall right emphasis. Um, it it gives me the sites nmap.org, but I also had nmap.org.image, images, and so on. So are all the search results containing nmap.org? Yes, it should, right? Because that's what you specify that you want the website. But the extension to the nmap.org, they might have like a video extension or the images extension from that website that's going to give you, that's going to be included in the search result. So based on this, okay, if you're looking for images from this particular organization, right, we can also see how it gives me, there's images there, there's one, and then we're gonna go down, we can also look for, right, and I don't expect for you to go through all the pages. It's okay, just kind of get an idea, but in real life, that's what you have to do, is to get as much as we can. Okay. And then you also see, and this is important to point out. So I'm on the second page, right, of this. And it gives me the extension where it tells me the data. So that means that that container has some information about the data for the website. When you go through and look at website structure, right, we talked about that earlier, that's important to kind of map out too. Like, where is the extension? Are there directories where they put things, right? Okay, then based on that, answer the questions. You wanna go? Give me your last name again. Oh yeah, I remember. Yesterday. Okay, have a good night. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we are going to use the source operator. We're gonna do this on the search bar where we wanted to see if there's any affiliation between nmap and Rapid7. And I think with AI, I'm sure that this is probably can be automated and a lot easier, right? But manually, this is what we do. Okay. So you do see that it gives you Rapid7. They have some form of mentioning, right, about nmap. So take a screenshot for 12 identify the types of websites displayed in the search results. So you mostly gonna get Rapid7 websites, right? Because that's what we ask for here is the source, right? But those pages that it gives you have some form of mentioning or correlation to your nmap. And then we check out the result, starting with the first link, which is right here, right? And sometimes that could be a blog post. Blog post is important too because it's a form of, communication from internal to the external entity. It might give you some details about that organization or the subject, right? So that's good. Then we're gonna go back to our search engine and we're gonna do the in URL. So this is what we'll look for in the in URL. And this is good because it also allows you to find subdomains. Remember we talked about how, I don't know if you guys buy groceries, but like go shopping and you see. So Bimbo is acquired by, and Hostess is now the same company along with Sara Lee, right? These are, they make bread and so on. So if, let's say if I have bimbo.hostess.com, right, this is where I'm gonna be able to find. So you want to search for the URL that contains that particular organization, that's gonna give you additional links to their subdomains or the extension with it. Right, so here I would see like some wiki page, right? So, but that will be for your nmap. And then there's some Reddit information. So this can be affiliated. It might not be direct, but some GitHub. So this is gonna give you additional, if you map that out, additional information that's related to nmap. So we would do this further down the line compared to the other ones, okay, for the other operators. And then there's some Kali. So, there we go. So we want to know that is this the result the same or different from the previous step? It's definitely different, right? It's gonna give you external or outside web pages or websites, but have some, that's related to nmap. It could be a Wiki page or a Wikipedia page or a Reddit page about nmap, right? So it has some kind of mention or relationship with nmap. And then check out the first result. Sometimes you're gonna have to go down more than first, right? Go down to 10, 15 pages and so on. So a good attacker would have the proper resources, that's including time. So do your homework. Okay. Any question regarding the part B? I mislabeled, it should be part B. I'll fix that now. Pull this out. Okay, then we're gonna go into active footprinting. That's why we extracted Kali Linux, right? We're gonna come back to Kali Linux now. We are gonna use nmap inside Kali. Some of you have done this before for other classes, and this is a good review for you. And then, we're gonna see what an IP address looks like. And then we're gonna use a thing called damn vulnerable web app. Okay. So coming back to Kali, log back in. Here's my Kali Linux virtual machine. I'm gonna try to position it right below the steps so you can see. what we're gonna do is we are gonna open up the terminal. This is the command line of Kali. And similarly, if you're using a Mac or another Linux version, you are gonna use the terminal the same way, right? Mac has slightly different commands. So we're gonna click the black square at the top, the icon there. That's gonna give you the terminal emulator. Open that up. And you can open as many terminal window as you need. And it's gonna default to your user account. Now the home folder here is kind of like documents for your user on Windows. So what you need to do is anything you save, by default, it's gonna throw it inside home, okay? And then file system is like this PC in Windows where you would see like C drive, D drive, and so on. Similarly, right? Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit. All right. The first thing that you need to do when you're using any Linux systems, if you need to install things, is you need to update. So sudo means super user do, elevate yourself to get higher privilege, and we're gonna do apt-get update. I recommend this is for the first step for Kali Linux when you start using it, because you're gonna run into problem installing things if you don't. Type in the password, which is Kali. This normally takes a few minutes, depending on your connections, and the version that you're using. If you're using like an older version of Kali, or virtual machine that you downloaded a while back, it might take a little longer. Okay. So once it's done, it's going to give you that pop-up again, Kali. Then we are going to be able to get an IP address. So that means that when you are doing active scanning of your target that is a computer on the network, you need to get an IP. Okay. So when we gather the information, we need to make sure we get an IP. You can use WHOIS services to get some public IP information of a domain. You can find other ways. You can get people to give you some information from the inside. There are many things that we can do. So for Linux, if you want to know the system IP address, an IP address is not a permanent address. It can be. It's not, in general, it's not a permanent address. It can be renewed or changed over time so that when we can efficiently use it. So let's say that I turn my computer off and go on vacation, my IP address can be given to you when the lease is up, right? IP addresses are leased for a period of time. But when we have shared resources like a printer, a server, we would use a permanent IP. Those are static IP. Okay, so let me see. It's done now. So I'm going to type in IP address, right? And when you look, the purple addresses are the IP version 4 addresses. The inet 127.0.0.1, every system has that. It is a loopback address, and that's how it's able to see itself, right? So if I ping myself, we ping our system to see if it's connected, that it's going to use the IP address, the 127.0.0.1. The actual IP address is right below. You see the inet and the 10.0.2.15. So version 4 always going to have the octet, and you're going to have the dot like that. Okay, it's going to be 4 octet, 32 bits. So I'm going to go ahead and record that, the 10.0.2.15. And then if you have version 6 addresses, it would also be indicated. You see these Fs right here, those are broadcasts for the version 6, for the link for Ethernet. Okay, that's a different class, 48 also. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we are going to go through and do the damn vulnerable web app. So I think Callie already have it installed. If it's installed already, it's gonna tell you that it's installed. And the cool thing about the virtual machine, you can copy and paste command from the outside to Kali Linux. Not all virtual machine allows you to do that. So if you don't want to type, you can copy and paste, but practice typing is good. So I'm going to do that for the sake of time for the video. So we can copy this and then we can go into the command line right here, right click, paste selection. Okay. And it's going to paste exact. So when you get a really long command, right, and you don't want to have a typo, you can also do that. Copy paste. And it tells you, it says, do you want to continue to install? It's going to take up this much space. Type yes. Why? So when you install, it's going to take a few minutes. So I'm at step 21. So what we do is we bring in damn vulnerable web app. So what is it? It's a package that would allow you to have an application that has no security. So you can attack it, right? We're going to attack our own virtual machine because that's legal. Can I go home and attack my neighbor? No, that's unethical, even if you don't like that, right? Can I practice attacking my friends? No, even if, because remember, they might like you now, right? And if there's no agreement, down the line, you can say, hey, I never gave you permission to look at that. I sued you, right? So no. Last name?
Whatever.
Okay, thank you. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do DVWA start. So once you install it, you're gonna be able to start it. And then it's gonna prompt you the password. So Kali, K-A-L-I. So that means it's on, right? And it's gonna open the page. You notice the loopback address that we talked about earlier? So to see itself, right, as another entity, it uses that. And now I have a web app. So this is a really good practice tools. We're gonna do SQL injection in it. So imagine if you have a website and you put a bunch of things in it, like user accounts and stuff, and you don't secure it, right? It's equal to DVWA. Okay. All right. Take a screenshot showing that it worked. Now, I know that it does already probably have Apache as PHP is already loaded here. But what we want is we want to load the web server. And the web services that you need for Linux to do web server is Apache. And the version is version 2. Okay. So after we take a screenshot, you don't need to close it, right? We can come back to the terminal window. We can open another one. So I'm going to open another one. Okay. Edit the view. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the service. So I'm going to do sudo service Apache 2 start. And then password. So now you have web server and a web app, right? So this is how you build your virtual machine and you can attack yourself. So by the end of this class, you should be able to build your virtual lab easily, right? If you don't remember, you can go back and look at your labs. Sometimes, you know, these things, they change. So if it doesn't work through Kali because, you know, but always updates and then go read the documentation if the software has some change. Okay. All right. So now I have both things going. I'm going to run nmap. Keep in mind that Kali comes with nmap. If you're using Ubuntu or another Debian release, like your Raspberry Pi, you must install the packages that you need. So you have to do, say, sudo apt-get install you know, nmap, right? Or look up the command on their website on Git to how to download it. So if I need to start and I don't know how, I'm gonna call nmap, right? If the app is there, it's gonna change the font to blue, and I'm gonna do the option help. This is gonna give you the general help page or the man page, the general man page for the actual application. And it tells me that there are some options that I can use right here. Right. So for example, I can specifically use it with the parameter for IP address. So this is like a good way to look at the options that you need. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go down and look for the options that's gonna allow us to enable OS detection. So enable OS detection, I need to use switch capital A. So the option, so when you type, you would say nmap space dash capital A, and that's how you're able to obtain OS, right? Sometimes you have to add in additional parameter for that option, but it will tell you that there. So it's going to give you the version detection and so on, right? I think capital A stands for aggressive, right? And then what we're going to look for the other options that's going to give you the version number. So if you want the version number, you're going to do the switch option capital V. That's different than the lowercase v. So there you go. You can combine it like this, but you need to put in a target, right? So your target needs to be an IP address or a domain. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it. Nmap, oops, capital A, and you're going to put in the IP address that you found in the earlier step 19. 10.0.2.15. Yeah. So, but if I'm a website, right, I would put in my website right there. So, you know why it's fast? Because it's right back to the system, right? So you're gonna get it right back. So what does it say? It is the Linux release, right? That's correct. Because you use Linux. And the version number. The network distance is only one hop. It is itself, right? It doesn't have to go out to many routers. So if this 10 hops, that means that it costs 10 routers to get there. It's kind of like taking 10 freeway from your house to your friend's house out of state. So, but yeah. So the hops are like any network that needs to cross in order to get there, right? Because we are right here, back to ourselves, it's 0 hops. And then it tells you the version. So this is useful for OS fingerprinting, but banner grabbing is similar to this. Okay. All right, good. So you guys see some of that? Take a screen capture. How many ports are closed? So you're looking at the closed ports. There's 999. And then how many ports are open? Does it list the open ports on this one? Yeah, it does. Oh, no, it didn't.
Just display the one that's below.
Yeah. Yeah, it only lists one. It used to actually tell you the number, but I guess that you have to use a different option for that. So the port state that's open, thank you, is port 80. Why port 80? Because remember, we're running Apache and we're running the web app that's vulnerable, right? So when you visit HTTP website without the HTTPS, it's not the HTTPS, the regular HTTP website, that's port 80. The majority of the websites now don't it's not HTTP anymore, it's HTTPS, right? So HTTPS uses encryption. So you would see the service, and it tells you the package for that web that we just installed and ran Apache, or we enabled the service. It sees it right here in this version 2. Okay, it's good. It tells you that there for the title. Okay, then we're gonna try the V with the A. So if you want to take a shortcut, you can up arrow key, which repeat the last command. Use your left arrow key and move your cursor to where you want to edit. And then type a -V space -A, right? That's for the next step here. I'm going to do nmap lowercase v lowercase a and then my IP. So if you up arrow key, it's going to repeat the last command, and then you can move your cursor by using the left arrow key, and then you can edit your command, move it out, and then press enter, and there you go. So this is going to give you a longer scan, but if, again, the distance is going to take longer time, right? Than your connectivity also. And sometimes they block this, so don't just think that like you just interrogate the system, any system, and don't just go out and scan any domain either. They will find you. So practice by using your own machine. You can scan the nmap.scanme.org one that they allow you to do that. On that page, it just says that not to Florida. I taught a scripting class, Python for cybersecurity one time, and I didn't use that domain. I did for them, and I felt really bad. And they changed the content after that. They said not to for them, but so you can use websites that allow you to do that, right? But it is illegal to just go to any domain to do that. Okay, so it gives you the result here. These NSEs are scripts that run. So these are like modules. They're individual script files that's added. You know, the nmap is Python, and it's lovely. You use it. You can use some of the scripts. So it tells you the scripts that's used. All right. So we should be able to answer those questions. How many ports are opened and closed? So scroll up and see, okay? Because in the terminal, it's not very organized. If you run ZenMap, the GUI version for Windows, it is a little nicer, but it takes more resources. So here you're gonna see that it's similar to what we got in the other one, but it gives you a deeper scan. Answer those questions. And then we're going to need to have an elevated privilege for step 27. We're going to do the pseudo nmap, and we're going to do the SS, and then the IP address. .0.2.15. So SS only look for SYN. So SYN is for synchronization. This is one of the 4 steps when a server communicates to the request. So when you visit a website, there's process in, it's going to say, hey, are you there? I'm requesting. Your computer asks it that. And the server says, oh yeah, I'm here. And then let's synchronize, right? And then once your computer loads the page, it does the acknowledgement. So what you have is you're gonna have the SYN, and when we're doing the stealth, right? We don't want it to kind of know that we're scanning it. So that's gonna be a little bit less noisy. Remember, the nmap is a non-passive application. So if you want the stealthy mode, that's gonna be less noisy. So you can use the switch there. Okay. And we can do the same thing to their website there. I'll copy this and run it. I'll take attendance shortly. Just give me, we have until 8:30, so. Give me a few minutes. Now you notice that when you scan yourself, right, it might be a lot quicker compared to the website. Right now, it's kind of, the traffic is not too bad. But I want you to run it so you can see, like, so they have SSH, they have Nping Echo. So these are some of the ports that they use. Okay, you familiar with SSH? See the port number? Okay, then what we're gonna do is we are going to scan using ST. And if SYN-scan is not available, if you tried the last one with the SS and it's giving you a hard time, you can also try ST, lowercase s, big T. Remember what I said, sometimes we have to do alternative, right? If we get result for both, that's great. If not, we have to find other ways to get around it. Okay, good. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to scan for UDP. And UDP is slightly different than what you see with the other scan. And if you took networking before, you understand. So UDP is kind of like the UPS guy that just throw your package and runs off, right? Who cares? But TCP is like the UPS guy that walks up to your door, knocks on your door, and asks you to sign. So TCP confirms that your computer receives web packets, right? Or communication or information or data. Where UDP, it doesn't care. And whenever you watch YouTube video, you're using UDP. You notice that it's still trying to pull as the video is loading. So UDP, the packets is opening as it arrives, right? It's kind of like building the plane and flying it at the same time. Where TCP, it has to have all the parts, build the plane, train the pilot, and then fly, right? So TCP takes a little bit longer as far as traffic. But you know, if you have secure communication, usually TCP is done. Why do we scan for both? All network uses both. Okay. And we're using, so I want you to see it from the same target, so that way you can look at the result, right? So sometime, you know, you might get additional ports information, you know, the services that's not listed in the other scan for TCP. And I tried to put some information there for you. And you can find more tutorial and scripting information from the book from nmap.org. It's a great tool for you to use. You know, 1 or 2 lab might not do it for many people, but if you want to be well versed in nmap, you know, read their guide and practice using their recommendation. Okay. And then I also want to do the UDP again with the SU, so different option here. Oh, that would work, I guess. Copy the colon, like that. Okay. Done. Okay, see. All right. Nikto is one of my favorites as well. It's fairly easy to use. So I want to give you a little bit of like, we'll come back to this a little more on a later chapter. But if you're working with web server, web applications, nikto is probably a good tool to start. It is a scanner and it is an active scanner. So just keep in mind that if you hit a target and the target scan and monitors. They will see you as well. So because we're running damn vulnerable web app, you see that in the back here, we started that. So we're gonna use nikto to scan ourselves, right? So in part D, the last part of the lab, you're gonna do the nikto, which is the scan, and keep in mind that Kali is equipped with it. Again, if you're using other Linux version, you have to install it, okay? So if you type in the command and it says not recognized, right, error, cannot run the command, that means that you just don't have the app, the program. So you would look up their documentation on how to install. Do they build it for other systems? You will find that there are other releases of Linux that they support. So it's always good to look at their documentation. So this is a longer scan, you see? And then when you're scanning, you're probing, and it's gonna tell you how many probes that you submit, right? Whether you're successful or not. Just a few more and then we'll be done. So some of the tools, we mentioned that in our lecture today, right? I want you to be able to see that. I'm gonna Control C here because I have to move on. But you can let it run, right? All right. So what we're gonna do is we are going to do the nikto. So nikto -H, and we want to put in the target IP, which is our own IP address, 10.0.2.15. And it should give you the report. This, you can also use most software will give you the verbose version, which is a lot of text. And then sometimes it will give, you can also have options to have the summary version. We have to get used to reading it like that. Some of them you're able to, pull the data and then put it, export it out to, CSV file or some form of file where you can analyze. It's important that, we can organize information or, sometimes it's harder to keep notes when it's in text format like this. But it tells you the server information. We saw this from before. But the good thing about nikto is it's going to tell you the vulnerabilities right here. Okay. There's X content that's not set, right? That's an area that we can look into. An attacker can look at that and say, okay, maybe something that I can use. And then as you go down, you would see that it also gives you the link on, some vulnerabilities information, Mitre information, the documentation for Mitre can also be important. So don't disregard these URLs that you get from the output. That's there to give you more details about that specifically, that specific weakness. Sorry. I'm trying to not get sick this week, and I'm just, and it's also, at the end of the night, so starting to mumble. Okay. It says that, do you want to update your email? You can press no. Okay. Because, if you want update information, you can put in your email there. So take a screenshot, answer the question here. So if you're running Windows, you're going to see information services like the IIS, where Apache is for Linux. Okay. We're going to use PLNet, and we're going to look at our specific port here. So PLNet is looking at network address translation. And here it talks about how if you're looking at network address translation. So we use this at home. We use it in every network. It allows the router to be able to support many clients from within the local area network with one public IP. So what you have is you have network address translation, private to public. Okay. And when you go like this, it's always going to listen until something happens, right? Take a screenshot of that. But if you have other system that's connecting to it, it's going to start recording. Is it going to be like this forever? If there nothing connects to it, because if I have a server that just stands there alone, right? Nobody talks to it. There's no recorded conversation, correct? So it's going to be like this forever until you have some form of communication. So at this point, screenshot. But realistically, if you do this on a system that has communication, you're going to have records of things right there. So this is where we can start listening to it. It's going to listen in on that port for 80. And then we can control C to cancel. Or we can open up another terminal. What we're going to do is we're going to do BurpSuite. And BurpSuite is installed on Kali. Okay, like what I said before, if it's not installed, you need to go and install it. So Kali comes with it. So it has an interface. It is a Java developed program. Okay. What we're gonna do is we are it should say we would now. I don't know. Sometimes it's late at night when I write these things. It autofills. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run nikto with BurpSuite together for that particular target, right? And our target is our local system. So whatever the URL, the domain that you need to put it into the URL. And we're gonna use the proxy. So open up your BurpSuite, click OK for the Java packages to load. Now, if you're running it on a version that doesn't support Java, you have to install Java for Burp to work. And then you're gonna click accept. So I think the older Kali didn't have that. So it's gonna look like this, the free version at least, or the Kali supported version. We're gonna open up the terminal back up and then run this again, or run another command. Or is it not connecting to proxy? Hold on, let me try to fix that real quick. So it's two. Services is still running. Check that. It's not opening the proxy. Anyway, we'll come back to it to fix that. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so here at this point, go back here, right? Go next and then start burp. I think they changed up something. Okay, so you have to click next and start burps, and then you're gonna be able to see proxy. Okay. So proxy is kind of like a way that you can funnel everything through and intercept it. So let's say that you have to go from here to Mexico, and before you cross the border, let's say that we have a fake border patrol station there. And everybody passes through it. Instead of letting them go to Mexico, we're gonna reroute them to another country for intentional purposes. We can use proxy that way. We can set up a way that we can funnel the traffic through us, and then be able to intercept it and interrogate it or do other things with it. And Burp is good at that. So I tried to run the command and allow it to. So they probably changed something. But you can go back to the burp program, right? So let me start from the thing. Yeah, start your burp and then click next and start burp. And then you're gonna see a proxy tab. And you notice that the intercept is off here, right? So what you can do is you can turn on the interception, and then what you click on the open browser and be able to set up your web history tab, so that way you can see web traffic. And web traffic would only work if you have traffic generated, so you can open up, So right here, you click the interception off. You're gonna turn it on now, right? Remember our little fake border patrol police station kind of thing. And then open up your open browser, right? And what we're gonna do is, yeah, it opens their web page, which is PortSwigger. And then what we will have is right here, this tab. Now click open browser again here. So you have to generate traffic to it. So if you have connection, then this area, it's gonna be able to have all of that for you, like traffic communication. Okay. So this is how BurpSuite looks like, and there are great videos that's done by PortSwigger. You can go to their website and take a look at it, or their documentation, even on GitHub. I think they do a good job. And then of course there are professional videos that people release, so you can find. But this is the Kali version. This is also adaptable with API. So you can integrate that with other things, with scripts. Okay, so just take a screenshot of that for me. You might not have anything for B, just put NA. And then for 51, put down what you have learned today and by doing this lab. And then what are some of the footprinting techniques that you have gotten from learning in this lab? And how can you apply this? Maybe that you aspire to be an ethical hacker, maybe that you're interested in cybersecurity and you want to use it for personal purposes. Maybe that, you can do this for a living, to be a consultant or a contractor. There are many endless things. Or this is your hobby and you like doing this. If you like doing this as a hobby, might as well get paid to do it real life, right? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.